Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Semi-Pro. I'm Dalton Barrett. Joining me today, I have Bobbin, Daniel, and Josh because we watched Old.
Yeah. I think this beach makes you old. 2021.
The music's playing.
Daniel, I want you to know that you were on beat again. For people listening, Daniel can't hear the music, and somehow every time he does that, he's on beat. Bobbin was not on beat.
No, I was.
Did the beat go off?
Oh. Like right on the beat, Daniel just goes, I think the beach makes you old.
2021.
Yeah, you did say 2021. That's true. That's a true fact.
That is when this movie came out.
Speaking of this movie,
You know, I know that COVID was like a horrible thing, and a lot of people died and lost their jobs. But I think this was the real worst thing to come out of it. Because if it weren't for COVID, this movie never would have made it to theaters.
See, I would have said, probably not. But then
This would have been direct to DVD schlock had it not been for COVID.
I'd agree with you. But they released The Visit, and there wasn't even a global pandemic going on at that point.
Yeah, no, that is
I think
damn.
I think post The Visit, Shyamalan had a lot less clout. I think he's lost a lot of clout because he got a ton of clout.
So you're saying M. Night fell off?
Yeah, kinda. I really think after all of the bad movies that he's released, people really quit wanting to see his movies. So I think I would have to agree with Daniel, despite the fact that The Visit got a theatrical release. I think by the time we get to Old, this movie would have been on the Sci-Fi Channel.
This movie, no, the Sci-Fi Channel.
This movie is too good for it. Or yeah. This movie broke me.
The movie has melted Daniel's brain.
Direct to Netflix, maybe?
Probably.
I can see it.
Shyamalan strikes
Or
up
like
a Netflix deal?
like Hulu maybe.
This isn't like this isn't a movie. It is a
Paramount Plus.
concept. Straight to Quibi.
They cut this
To
movie-
Quibi with you.
They cut this to a bunch of Quibi shorts.
I genuinely, like, I know Quibi crashed and burned, but this would have been a great Quibi short.
Yeah. You could fit everything that is good about this movie into about 10 minutes.
What
Yeah.
if Old was a found footage short film?
What if Old was a book?
It was.
I know.
I think perhaps that was the joke.
Perhaps it was.
This movie's destroyed my brain. What little remained.
So what happens in this movie? The beach makes them old.
The beach makes them young. They
Which
get
is-
they get much younger as every
Is-
hour passes.
Hold on.
Yeah, honestly, I think that would have been more interesting. Like
It is.
seeing someone age backwards and then like just instant Benjamin Buttoning and then they turn into a baby and then just turn into a bunch of cells.
It is more interesting, which is why Futurama did it for an episode in like 1993 or whatever.
No, that makes sense.
The
So
movie.
So the beach makes them old.
Yes.
Hold on. No. So
Hold up.
full-
We them
full-
boys.
Full synopsis, right?
I don't want to.
There's okay.
It mainly.
The metallic poles of
No.
Earth.
All right, Dan.
It is scientific. It's not
It's
ridiculous
not scientific.
nonsense.
It's not scientific. It doesn't work like that, man.
What would you know about science?
Also, don't
More
blame
than M. Night
Daniel.
Shyamalan.
Don't blame Daniel for trying to say that it's scientific when it's in the movie. This isn't
When
a
the
Josh
movie
in the
straight
Planet
up
of the
says
Apes.
it's scientific.
This is
Like-
not Josh in Planet of the Apes. It's not that situation where the movie says one thing and he says something different.
Right. This isn't like information I got off the internet. This is straight up the movie says it. The main characters of the film find a book and read it, and the book says this.
Ah!
So the movie follows a family. Uh, the parents are trying to get divorced.
Yes.
And
And
they
the
they
mother, it's not revealed instantly, but the mother has a tumor in her stomach.
Yeah.
It's suggested that there's some sort of medical condition that they don't want to talk about or tell the kids.
So
And then
they
that
take them to a resort. They take the kids to a beach, as several other people go to the beach after them.
Despite the fact that they'll
And
just have a fight and an argument right in front of their kids, they don't want to tell
yeah.
them about their
That
mom's
that's
crippling
actually
medical condition.
that's a
Right.
recurring thing throughout the movie because there's a point later too where they have a conversation that they are acting like it's secret, but then they pan and they're like 2 steps away from the kids. I
I
This
love
is
the
a reference to M. Night's parents arguing in front of him.
and
I
getting a
th-
divorce in
th-
front of him.
so on this beach, we have our main family. We have world class written characters such as Jaren, British guy, mid
Mhm.
sized sedan, and that
mid-size sedan's mid-size sedan's girlfriend, but we don't know that yet.
yeah, she's
The
dead.
the British guy Charles,
Charles.
He
his
is in
girlfriend,
charge, from what I hear.
yeah,
His girlfriend, who is way too young for him, and
his
her,
girlfriend, yeah,
or wait, no, his mother.
and his daughter with this girl.
Right.
Also, keeping in mind, this is a beach that they were told to go to. It's not like this was the beach they planned.
Right,
They were
the management
recruited,
of the
basically.
resort that they're
Yeah.
at. The
Yeah,
management of the
they were
resort
just
they're
like,
at
yeah,
goes,
we've got this private beach. You guys seem like you should go there.
You may or may not get old. I cannot confirm or deny the aging process which will happen on the old beach.
before they go to the old beach, um, the youngest of the main family, Trent, he becomes friends with another child called Idlib at the resort, who like they have a game where they make codes and then write them to each other,
They
and you
have
have
a
to
game where they
decode.
make babies.
I
No,
still
that's later in the movie.
I still can't go over the fact this like M Night does not know what a human acts like, and then he decides to write movies with a lot of humans in it. M Night,
I really just wish that someone else would write his dialogue for him. Like,
right, M Night is
just get a real person,
he's
please,
a
M. Night.
M Night is a concept man. He goes, "Hey, what if we had this beach that makes you old and there's like body horror and stuff?" And then someone else comes in and goes, "Yeah, I'll write that, but make it look like humans are talking to each other."
It's well, and part of the problem is his concepts are not necessarily like easy to adapt concepts.
Right.
Like it's
I mean, they're pretty interesting, unique
they're yeah,
concepts.
absolutely. They're not necessarily something that's easy to turn into a movie. You know? Like this concept of a beach that makes you old is a great like concept on paper. I don't know what a good version of this movie looks like.
It looks like the graphic novel it was based on.
I guess yeah, you probably
Yeah,
No, the
So
good
he-
version of this movie is the movie. This movie's a masterpiece.
Old
I-
Sweep, perhaps?
I keep forgetting that, like, as we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan being a concept man, this is not his concept. It's someone else's.
Right.
He stole it.
There's also I'm looking at the quotes of this movie because I can't remember any because this movie has the worst
I
dialogue
can't remember
ever.
anything that happens in this
And
god
No,
awful
there's
movie.
one very memorable.
Oh yeah,
quote.
that my favorite quote from Mid-Sized Sedan where he says, "Oh damn." I really like that one.
Me too. I'm a big fan.
The other quote from Midsize Sedan that we missed was as people were noticing.
Oh, when he says, "Oh damn."
So apparently they're noticing the signs of aging because they are more noticeable on certain skin colors, and he goes, "First time they wish they were black."
Because
Is that a
black
real
don't.
line he said?
Apparently,
said that.
according
Well-
to quotes on IMDb.
It's because black don't crack.
Right. No, that is true. I feel like I would have remembered a line that ridiculous.
I feel while I say that,
M.
don't
Night
remember.
Shyamalan wrote "Black Don't Crack" into his movie, and we all forgot. No one noticed that M. Night Shyamalan literally wrote "Black Don't Crack" into old.
I will say one thing I appreciate about this movie
Nothing.
is it's pretty quick to get into the part that you want to see. Like they get onto the beach. Have about
Well,
50,
well, well.
I don't want to see any of this.
Yeah, there's no part of this movie that I want to see. So
before we actually watched the movie, I remember me and Dan were talking because we just watched The Visit, and we were like, "Okay, next week's gonna be fun. Old's like a fun movie. It's got an interesting concept. I'm sure it'll be an entertaining time." And then we started watching it, and I could feel myself growing old as
I continue my defense of Old in saying I think it is far more entertaining than The Visit, and I
No,
think
no.
Yes,
yes,
I don't think
Bobbin,
anyone would
nobody
disagree
is
with
denying
that.
that. That
That
just
is
doesn't mean
that is
anything.
not saying anything. Like Visit was
Old
so
is
bad.
is a fun little flick that has things happen in it. There you go.
Are most movies not?
Do
things in
do
which
things
happens?
happen?
It has the one cool scene.
Yeah.
That's it.
This entire movie. So okay, they all get down to the beach at about 15 minutes into the movie, and then they start growing old. And like
No.
there's like a
They
5 minute.
will never grow old.
It's like a 5 minute montage of all of them just kind of like playing on the beach and stuff, and then the dead body washes up on the shore, and mid-sized sedan goes, "Oh damn."
What? Why was
And
your
then-
God
mid-sized
bless
sedan?
mid-sized sedan.
Why was your impression of him so quiet?
He says it quietly in the movie.
he does say it pretty quietly.
But then there's like a woman that washes up on the shore, and mid-sized sedan, who's apparently a rapper, is like, "Oh yeah, I know her. We met up last night, and we talked
Right,
about how we both
a
have
woman-
debilitating illnesses."
A woman died, and his reaction was, "Oh, damn! I think she liked me."
No, that was literally it because he was in for
That's
that
not
one
even a
to,
joke. He just said that.
They
to the
also
character
did. They also
named
did.
Guy. Sorry, Josh.
No, the character named Guy is also stupid. Every name, I hated every name in this movie.
I hated this movie.
That's kind of a Shyamalan trend, is it not?
Dumb names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, you're probably correct. Correct is what I meant to
In
say.
this movie,
My
we
bad.
had what was it? Not Madlib. What was his name?
Idlib.
Idlib,
Idlib.
mid-sized sedan, Guy.
Nah, mid-sized sedan's a cracked name. You need to quit. Get off this midnight sedan slander.
M Night. This is okay. Just because we're
What was
watching
What was the
back to
girl's
back.
name? Madden.
Maddox.
Yeah.
Maddox.
Madden.
Yeah. She just
John
starts
Maddox.
football. It's meant to be like a 15-year-old girl, but throughout the entire movie, it's played by John Madden.
That's another thing. Why did because I thought that it was like they aged until they got to like adulthood and then kind of stopped aging, but
Nah.
that's not the case. So why did
No, they were
why did-
always aging. Adults just age slower, but they exaggerated that a lot.
Adults
guess.
do age slower.
But why? Okay, but
Like in real life, it's a whole lot more difficult to tell the difference between a 13-year-old. Or no, it's a whole lot more difficult to tell the difference between a 20-year-old and a 25-year-old than it is a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old. You
I
know?
suppose
No.
that is true.
Like
no,
that,
I'm adult though.
that's just I don't want to say normal.
I think it's a little silly that the girl had only 3 actresses and the boy had like 5.
That is silly. But
This
that's because
movie
M.
is
Night
silly.
Shyamalan is a sexist.
Goofy R movie.
That's because the boy needed to look older so that he could make a child.
Right.
Because M. Night Shyamalan is into children having babies.
Correct.
Yeah, we gotta address that bit because that was the weirdest part of this
We'll
movie.
get to that, Bob. And there's a lot
The thing
between
is,
there
you
and there.
say that, but I don't even think that was the weirdest part of this movie.
It's
I
not.
wish
It's
it
just
was.
really weird.
Right. It's probably the most out of place part of this movie.
Most sane moment in Old.
Honestly, it was one of the more. I guess it succeeded in being unsettling.
Well, that's it. I think
Yeah.
it just existed to be creepy. Like it was just
I
like
don't know that it was that creepy.
no, but
I
Yeah.
think it was just I don't think that was the intention though. I do think it was kind of creepy, but I don't think that was I think it was just M.
I
Night was
think
trying to do that to show that the beach makes them old 2021.
right. Well, I guess
I
like
think
it was
M.
an.
Night
I just
wanted to
meant it
do
was an
it because
intense scene.
He wanted
he is
children
creepy.
to have sex.
Like that's the thing. It doesn't come across as like it's creepy in the context of the movie. It's more creepy in real life because of the real life implications of that. You know? That's a whole lot creepier to me. We're getting ahead of ourselves though.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
that happens. We only just got to Mid-Sized Sedan saying no Dan. Um,
Right.
Mid-Sized
So
Sedan,
then,
who is apparently a rapper that the daughter, the main daughter, likes. And then
and
so upon
British guy from Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter is horribly racist and instantly thinks that he's responsible for this dead
right
woman.
immediately after he like starts looking at him and he's like, hey, I want to. Even at the beginning of the movie, when his family's sitting down there like lawn chairs and everything, he sees that they're near Mid-Sized Sedan. And he goes, hey, let's go to the other side of the beach.
Yeah, was that
Yeah, that
intentional?
was
Did that come across
instant.
as intentional or was it
No, I think that was
No,
intentional.
I think it was meant to be like he's just horribly racist.
cool? That cuz that's the vibe I got. I just wasn't sure if they were doing that on purpose or if it was like a Spider-Man Lotus
Or if
thing.
M. Night is just racist.
Yeah.
But no, I think
Both
that's
are
intentional.
possible.
And then, so after that, the British
Please-
dude's mum
Please make it
also
stop.
dies.
Please make it stop. I can't do this anymore. I can't. I just can't do it.
And then I think the dog dies.
Yes, then the dog dies.
Rest
Which
in peace.
really the dog definitely should have died sooner.
Mhm.
Right.
Although
I
I
can-
guess it is a small dog. Those do live longer.
But the time rules don't make any sense. There's no reason
well, yeah,
to try
no,
and
the,
add
the
logic
time
to
rules
them.
aren't.
Well,
Yeah.
a big thing with horror movies is that you really need the rules of the movie to make sense.
I mean,
Like-
realistically, which I know is ridiculous because nothing about this is realistic. But they should have all died within like
Yeah.
30 minutes if they weren't like eating. Like if they weren't eating every second, they should have died.
Well, and if the rules were gonna make sense. But like
Right.
depending on because the rules that they give for how the time operates are not actually accurate to what the movie portrays as what's happening. For instance, the when Cheater Wife gets surgery on her side and it heals in seconds. For something like that to heal would take weeks, and it heals in seconds. And so the time frame that they are presenting does not necessarily add up to what would be accurate to a movie like this. So you either have to give it some grace or give it no grace, and I'll just really let you make that distinction on your own.
No,
I
you're right.
refuse to.
because, in that one scene where the brother was holding the sister's face, for a few seconds, the girl said that was a few days.
We just aged 3 days while you did that.
Right. So for her deep cut to heal in a couple seconds is kind of insane.
Also, that baby was born in like a day.
Right.
That's 9 months. So is 9 months a day?
Well, that's like a movie thing of just you know,
Ignoring the
time
rules that the movie
that they
presents?
establish.
right. Really,
Realistically,
the-
Josh? You want
no,
to keep going?
like I say, you need like a hard set of rules. Like in Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy only gets you while you sleep. You can't do anything during the day. He can't do anything to you. But then
Yeah, this
In this
movie's
movie-
just as good as Nightmare on Elm Street.
in this movie, they set out the rule. Okay, every 30 minutes you age a year, and then I think the guy goes like, okay, so we've aged 5 years while we've been here or something. But they have no way of telling that to the audience. It like should have done more like I don't know, every 10 minutes you age a year or something, every 15, something that makes it a bit more like
Should have
Like,
never
like a
made
sec-
this movie.
they shouldn't have.
Th-
And
th-
this movie
there's-
only got made because there was COVID, and they're like, oh god, we need people aren't going to go to cinemas. We need something, and M Night has, hey, I got a new movie.
So
And
anyways,
So I just read this French book. What if I made it racist?
getting to the real MVP of the film, Jaren, my boy Jaren.
mid-sized
Yo,
to
shout
them.
out Jaron.
Yo, shout out Jaren. Jaren was on
Yo,
the
he
swim
was
team with
on the
us.
high school swim team.
The one thing I remember about Jaren is he has one scene where he just keeps going, "My name is Jaren,"
My name is Jaren.
and that's about it. Uh, so after Charles' mum dies and he's more racist, he
After
cuts
Charles is in charge.
he cuts mid-sized sedan's cheek for no reason. He's like, "Oh, I don't know why I did that." And
He
like,
is a crazy schizophrenic racist.
He did it because he's getting old.
right, he's getting old, 2021. And
Ooh,
so
wait, is this movie about how old people are racist?
This is
a
this
little bit.
movie.
Did I just figure out what M. Night meant by this?
I just
think-
figured out the twist. And old people are awful.
I think that guy was just kind of awful all around.
Yeah,
think-
but
I
he's
think
also
that-
old, and old people are racist.
I think much like The Visit, this just falls under the category of M. Night Shyamalan is scared of old people, so he just depicts them as horribly creepy.
What do you think M. Night Shyamalan may have had like an old racist grandpa?
Probably.
Probably,
Even
or
up
like a
in
nanny
Philadelphia.
or something, maybe.
Yeah.
M.
And that's-
Night seems like the kind of guy who had a nanny as a kid.
Mm,
Right.
mhm,
But
mhm.
I just like-
you just what, Josh?
I just want it to be over.
I just want him to stop, you know? I
How
can't
does he keep getting away with it?
I can't keep doing this.
I know we say
Worth
that a lot as
noting.
a joke about various filmmakers. Genuinely, how does M. Night Shyamalan keep getting away with this?
M. Night has not made a good movie in what, at least 10 years? Split was maybe okay.
I didn't even care for Split.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Split. Glass isn't any good.
Glass is horrible.
Well, that's just. I think I would
M-
rather watch this than Glass
M. Night
again.
hasn't made a good movie since 2002. And
If you like that movie, and not everyone does.
Unbreakable's fine.
I think most people liked Unbreakable.
Also, from like an objective point of view, it is at least a well written.
it is a
It
competent
is a
film.
movie.
This like even beyond, we clown on him for his writing because he doesn't know how human people speak or what their names are. But this movie
their
isn't
names
even
are.
made like this feels like a student film.
Mhm.
The way that the camera works, there's a part where he makes it look like a home video for no reason other than to just make it look like a home video. There's 1,001 shots that do nothing to help the movie other than to drag out the runtime. There's-
M. Night Shyamalan discovers Instagram filters.
Pretty much. He probably got the idea for this where he was like using the face app thing and he made himself look old. He's like, oh,
Like, oh,
old.
oh my god!
Old.
He was on the beach
And-
and he used the filter.
And he's like, I read this book once. It was just like this.
What if I made it worse?
What if I made it
in every
racist?
way imaginable?
What if I made a racist
Also-
version of this story?
Worth noting that the family's
Nothing's
from
worth
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia reference, M. Night Shyamalan
Mm.
reference.
Oh, M. Night
True.
Shyamalan likes Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I get that.
Average
True.
Philadelphian.
Most normal Philadelphia
I
resident.
really hope
So they-
M. Night Shyamalan is not the most normal Philadelphian. I would really hope not.
So, just I
I
just
know
wanna move
Philadelphia
past
has its issues, but man,
this. I want to move past this. After cutting his cheek open,
I want to move
And-
past this movie.
after cutting his cheek open and it scars over instantly, they figure out, okay, the beach is making us old, and then
2021.
well,
but it's not a twist. Because
it's not a
they're-
twist.
the
Well, no,
only
no,
thing that all
that's
of
not
these
the
people
twist. The twist
Well,
is
yes.
stupider.
I more mean like the only unifying thing that all of these people have in common is the beach. They're all getting older. Wh- it took them too long to make that connection, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it
I,
like
I mean, I guess you could argue shock. Maybe they saw a dead body, and then also all this crazy stuff is happening. But that, I don't know,
But
man.
yeah, no, this movie's dumb.
Old.
They keep showing
movie's
this one
old.
guy up on the cliffs who's like watching them.
This
Like they
one
keep
guy being the
Guess
director
who that
and
is?
writer
Guess,
of the
guess who's on
movie.
the cliff?
And
that's
and
actually
with that, why show us that? Why not
right.
like because you see the dude on the cliff, but nobody else in the movie sees the dude on the cliff?
No,
Well, no,
the
they
kid does.
mentioned,
The
yeah,
kid goes,
the
"Oh, that's a camera."
Well, but we see it
well, no.
before that.
First they just like the kid is just like oh, what are I keep seeing this glint from up there. Like, oh, what is that? And then he's like, oh, I thought I saw someone moving up there. They're just like, oh, you're just a kid. You don't know what you're talking about.
But now you're turning into a 40-year-old virgin.
Now you're a grown man. No, he's not a
Oh.
virgin. He had a son.
Oh yeah, that's right. My bad. My B. My B.
It's
Oh.
really horribly creepy, but
I remember what
I
happened.
did it anyways.
I remember what happened next. Other than the kids growing up and them dragging that out for 15 minutes. But
Which
the mum,
actually, with the math of this movie, they should have been.
they would have been like 40 by that point. But
Keep
the,
going, Josh. We're waiting on you here,
What
bud.
happens in this movie?
the woman has like a tumor, and she's like, "Oh, it's only 3 centimeters." But then it looks like a golf ball. So they get the British guy who's a doctor and Jaren who's a nurse to like cut it out. And every time he goes to cut it out, Charles the British guy's like, "There's this movie with Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando. Do you know the movie,
See,
guys?"
hold on. No, I'm gonna stop you there because I actually like that bit. I thought it was funny.
I really
No,
enjoyed that bit. I was
I'm not
about
saying
to
it in
say
a bad
that.
way. I'm not saying it in a bad way. It made me laugh every time it happens.
Right.
It made me
And I
happy.
think
I'm a big fan of comedic repetition.
I think
I
that's
think-
like realistic though.
Yeah,
I think that's meant to
absolutely.
be, but yeah, that's pretty realistic. And they keep being like, "Hey, there's a woman that we need to cut open." So they keep trying to cut open her stomach, and it heals in seconds. So she's just got like 6 scars there now. And
And
so
then after they were all on the beach, Jaren, the best character in the movie, suggests they put their dirty, filthy, sandy hands in her open wound.
Ugh, I don't
Surely
like talking
it
about
won't
it.
get infected.
Can we move past this quickly?
So yeah,
Also,
they will make sure to rub their hands in sand and then dig it into the wound, into the
They'll make
stomach.
sure to spit on their hands.
They all grabbed the rusty knife from the end of
They
the
all
movie
grab rusty knives
just-
and cut it open themselves.
They just rub it. They rub the rust all over their hands.
They make sure it's weird that they had that point of Charles actively sneezing into the open wound.
he spit in it. He straight up spit in the wound.
He
He was like,
threw up. He spit up like stomach bile. It was messed up.
Yeah, he just threw up into that wound pretty much.
A bird flew overhead and just pooped in it. It was so weird.
They had the dog like come back to life for a second and just defecate in the wound and then run off and die again. It was really bizarre.
He just came up and started licking. He was like,
Jaren at one point is like, "Oh, I got a plan," and just shoves a rock in there. Like, I don't know why. So
a crab crawls out of the ocean like a lobster and just
there's a-
crawls in and starts living inside the wound. It was so
bird-
weird.
a bird swoops down, picks up a fish in its beaks, and then drops it directly into there, like pinpoint accuracy.
A dead whale beaches, and the air pressure from the time that it's on this beach, because time is moving quickly, makes it explode, and all of the guts from the dead whale go inside this wound.
A turtle like walks onto land with a can of sixes around its neck and crawls in there.
And lays its eggs.
No. And all of this happens in the film, and then mid-sized sedan looks at this and goes, "Oh no!"
Oh damn!
Oh damn! This movie. I'm surprised this movie didn't have a Twinkies reference in it, where like one of the characters has one and it never grows old because that's the thing with Twinkies. Or maybe M. Night would have continued his environmentalist side from The Happening, and he has a turtle crawl up with the 6 around a second. It just looks into the camera and goes, "This is the world we live in," and then he dies.
I would have loved to have seen a lobster in this movie because lobsters don't die.
I thought, oh, do you know what it should have been? They should have had like cockroaches crawling around the beach because they live forever.
I don't think it's that they live forever; they're just really hard
I
to
think
kill.
they just they
But
just can't die
lobsters
from a
do.
nuke.
Lobsters
no,
do
no,
live
I got it.
forever.
You have all of these characters, and then you have one crocodile who lives.
No, I think it's lizards. I think lizards can only die if they're killed.
Yeah. But it's
Oh,
on a
then-
beach, so you could just use lobsters, which also only die if they're killed.
Well, if the people who are running this, because spoiler, it's all for drug trials. But if the
It's in
people
the title.
Right? Anyone watching this already knows.
if all the people like they're not actually trying to keep them on the beach, but they know they can't leave other than the coral reefs, why not put just one shark in there? Because sharks live for thousands of years or whatever. So, easy.
Yeah, but 1,000 years would be like a month.
Yeah, exactly. So you just every month you drop in a new shark. Easy.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. That's true.
And that means,
So we surgically removed the tumor from the woman after everybody digs their dirty fingers.
Also, I know it was supposed to be really serious. But the main the guy whose name is Guy.
Guy Kappa.
Right.
As in, I'm a Papa Kappa.
He has a French accent, which is close enough to an Austrian accent, which Arnold has in his real life, and also in the movie Kindergarten Cop, where he says, "It's not a tumor." So that's all I could think of in that scene.
Yeah, he does keep going. It's a tumor.
Okay, so speaking of
Move
Guy,
on, please. Please do not.
Do you guys notice how we're talking about anything but the movie?
so hold on. So Guy, the character Guy, name of Guy, his entire character is it's mathematically, statistically impossible. For
Oh, yeah, he's an actuary.
Actuary.
Actually, and he's like, there's a 95.4% chance that it was just heat stroke that killed this girl mid-sized sedan, but there's a 0.6% chance it was you. And mid-sized sedan being a pretty I will say, out of
Did you
all
just
people,
say big
mid-sized
size sedan? And if so, did you say it on purpose?
Yes. Mid-sized sedan is like the most reasonable person because he keeps getting accused of just straight up murder, and he's just like, "Hey, look, you're all freaking out. It's cool. I didn't do it. We're fine." And then the British guy stabs him to death.
Yes.
True.
You know,
Like
he
him-
should be big size sedan because he's built like a freaking train.
He is quite the large sedan.
He is a large individual.
They should have called
He's
him
a very
SUV.
big sedan.
they should have called him ATV actually.
They should have called him the A-Team van.
I should have called him anything but mid-sized
Mid-sized
sedan.
sedan. Well, okay, his name is Brendan. Okay.
Right, that is true.
Well, his
man,
rapper
Private
name,
School
I'm
Brendan.
sorry. I want to put some respect on mid-size sedan.
Yo, mid-sized sedan started from the bottom for real.
He started from the old beach.
Mid-sized sedan gets stabbed. Then
Right.
they finally decide to take away crazy
Well, he-
British man's knife.
He gets stabbed and he goes, "What was that movie again?"
He goes, "What's that movie? It had Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando."
My favorite thing from the trivia of this movie is it says that the movie he's trying to think of is like the Missouri Breaks, I think.
Yes,
And then
I
underneath
asked Siri that whilst watching it.
Underneath that little tidbit, it just says it has no relation to the plot of this film whatsoever. So yeah, then they take the knife off the clearly crazy man who's got dementia.
Because he's old.
Because he is old, 2021. And so, what happens after that? After that, the kids.
He takes a bone from his dead mother's body, and starts like itching his head with it.
Yeah, and he's like talking to his mum.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just stress. Like it's just stress of the job."
What job? What job is this man
he-
doing?
He's like the chief medical director of an office.
Right. He makes a point of saying that every time someone accuses him of being a crazy person, he says, "No. Trust me, I'm a doctor."
Cool. Yeah, so I skimmed
Oh.
this movie, so I missed a lot of these little like
Oh,
details.
after this, Jaren's like, does any of us have any swimming ability so that we could swim around the water and go to one of the shores that's on the other side of the lake? Because then we can, go get some help. And no one like speaks up.
No one
And
says anything.
later in the movie, Jaren's like, "Oh, I'm like I was on the
I was on
team,
the
so I can,
swim team.
So just do that in the first place, maybe."
Nah, Jit tripping. He didn't have to.
But
Ah.
yeah. Then the kids get old, and
Couldn't even get through that one.
this movie's actively making me feel like I'm getting old.
I
The-
am old.
The daughter of the British guy and the main son, who is now they're about 15 and 17, I think they're meant to be. They sleep together in a tent and they walk out and she's pregnant. She's like 5 months pregnant.
It's just so stupid. So dumb.
And then- And they're like, "Oh, Joe's like, if she walks into the emergency room, I would say she's 5 months pregnant." Cheers, mate. Didn't know that at all. Thanks.
My man, Jaren, MVP.
So they get her prepped for giving birth, and her mum like runs off to try and get out of the beach because there's one path off the beach, but every time they keep going through it, they keep like blacking out and then landing on the beach again.
Really
So
quickly, because we just bolted past the fact that this girl was pregnant. Like, way too quickly did we move past the
It's
fact.
not
I
so
think we
much
talked about it in the
past
beginning.
that, it's just the movie moves past it really quickly.
Yes, sure.
That's also true.
Can you imagine how bad that sex must have been for both of them? Like, can you think about that for just a second?
I
don't want to.
I don't want to. Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
want
It
no, I'm
it
not
boils
gonna
down
think about that.
to two 5-year-olds having sex, and that's
And
just
it's
that's something
weird.
that makes me sick even just saying it.
And
Despite that is the thing that is presented in this film.
I don't understand why M. Night Shyamalan was like, all right, we got these two 5-year-old kids. They're olding, right? They're getting old.
They got olded.
Why?
They got the old
Why? Don't put it in the movie.
because it's in like it's made to freak. I get why he did it. I don't agree with that. I get why he did it. It's just meant
Is
to
it
be
made
shocking.
to freak you out? Because it's not like presented that way in the movie. Like it's not like
Right,
a super shocking.
It's very matter of fact. It's just a thing that happens.
No,
It's
it's presented pretty shocking. Like
I think it's a little disturbing. Yeah.
they like when they show it, they build it up a lot. Like you see them walking off from the distance, and as they
Okay,
get
but
closer, you see
they
them.
build a lot of stuff up that does not need build up.
Right, no, I'm not right, but it is done to be shocking. Like even when she's
I
giving
just
birth, the
don't-
music and everything is made to be shocking. Like I get why.
It feels more like it's made to be shocking in the sense that it's a shocking moment.
Right. It feels like it's supposed to be shocking to the characters in the
Or
film, not
it's
to the
supposed to-
audience.
Yeah, it
I
feels
thought
like
to
it's
the,
supposed
to
to
the
be
audience, it's absolutely repulsive.
It's
Right.
supposed to be shocking in the sense that this baby is being born on the old beach, not that it's two 5-year-olds having a child.
No, I think
That's
it's meant to
the
be
part.
shocking in both.
I think it is shocking in that
Right.
it is
I
not
don't
presented
think
that way.
that was M. Night's intent.
I don't think M Night's that weird a guy that he's like, oh
I
yeah, no,
do.
2
I
5-year-olds
do.
are gonna have sex
I
and it's gonna
do.
be completely normal.
I think that I firmly believe that is the case.
Is this the point where so the mum walks off and she runs away from her daughter giving birth, and she blacks out and the other daughter wakes her up. Her daughter gives birth and the baby dies immediately because the old beach got her,
She
and
got
then
olded.
she got the old. After which I think this is the point where what's his name, Trent and Maddox, which is the main family, like kids, they talk to Crystal, who's Charles's girlfriend, and she goes, "I was in love with a man called Giuseppe." At which point we all burst out laughing and subsequently forgot about the dead child
Right.
because the only person who has ever been called Giuseppe is the guy from Pinocchio.
Is that his
I
name?
like Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Pinocchio's dad's name.
Didn't
It's,
know that.
Tom Hanks, the pedophile.
Right. M. Night Shyamalan. All right, keep going. I just wanted to make sure we really, really, really hit home that in this movie, 2 5-year-olds get freaky in a tent. Like, I just
Yes.
wanted to make sure that that is stressed enough.
Oh, I'm stressed, all right.
And I don't believe, Josh disagrees. I don't believe that the proper emphasis was put in the movie to why that is bad. Once again, Josh disagrees with me. He thinks that there was enough
very
emphasis.
rarely agree with Dalton, but I agree with him on this.
Josh
I
thinks
think-
that enough emphasis was put on the fact that 2 5-year-old children
Not
are
so
having
much
sex
that
in a
enough
tent.
emphasis was put on that, just that it was done to be shocking, and he tried to execute it in a disturbing, shocking way.
I just don't like it. It feels shocking for the wrong reasons.
I think maybe he had good intentions with that, but the execution was
No, yeah,
not
don't get me wrong. As we've learned with M. Night Shyamalan, the
Shyamalan had good intentions with
You're
making
right.
2 5-year-olds
I-
pedophile.
Daniel, are you back completely on my
uh,
side?
I don't want to talk about this because I don't want to think about it.
The thing with M. Night Shyamalan, as we have learned, is that his execution is just awful in every
The thing about M. Night
aspect.
Shyamalan is he should be executed.
The God, what happens after? Oh, Jaren is on
They
the
get
swim
old.
team, and he's like, I'll go for a swim. I'll swim around it."
My man, Jaren.
Jaren, the swim team captain.
And Jaren,
Uh,
the nurse.
Jaren, the nurse. So he goes off on a swim, and then the Maddox also goes off for a swim a little bit later.
What was that scream in the background?
Okay,
That's,
I had-
that's how I feel about this movie.
this is going to be a weird segue. This is going to be a weird side plot. I have a box of cereal in my room called Strawberries and Scream, which was released when the new Scream movie came out. And the
Okay.
whole premise is that the Scream box will scream every time you open it. Mine is open and it just screams sometimes. So
Nice.
I can't do much to turn it off. There's no off button for it. It's just a thing that happens, and you may hear
Much
it.
like every plot point in this movie.
Much like this movie, I also want to scream. So
Now that we've
Maddox
gotten to the
also-
bottom of that, I just wanted to get us to a point where I understood what was happening. So
Maddox also goes to a swim, and she finds Jaren's dead body.
yeah, very. It's a lot like the scene in The Happening where they do the jump scare in a place where people would have seen the jump scare happening before it happened. It reminds me a lot of that, where it's like you definitely would have seen this dead body floating towards you before it got to you and jump scared you. So
Right.
that's a thing that happens.
And then when was after that? Oh, his Jaren's wife, who's an epileptic, is like, "Oh, I'm gonna swim out. I'm gonna use these pool noodles because that way, when I pass out, I'm not gonna drown." I have a sister, and then she seizes and has a seizure. Is that where she dies?
Who knows, man?
I believe so. Yeah, she seizures and then foams at the mouth and then dies. Which we learn later that was
That was a success.
that was a success because that was the medicine lasted 16 years of her life.
Dan, don't spoil the movie.
Well, my bad, man.
Is that okay? Is that everyone else dead? There's just the main family, the old guy, and oh no. So, Trent, the man child who has had a child.
Oh yeah, him
he's
and
hardcore.
Kara, the
He's down bad for Kara,
woman child.
the woman who had a child. He's
The
down bad
child
for her.
who had a child.
And he's simping for her, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna get married. I want to marry you." And so Kara's like, "Okay, I'm gonna climb up these rocks because this whole beach
Well,
is
at first they talk about how they never had a prom or a
prom.
graduation,
Which is so like-
which is a thing that these 5-year-olds are aware of,
Or
Right.
care about.
right?
Right. Well, they
I
say
think-
that They say that they
Uh,
have like the brain cells of their respective ages, but they
yeah.
shouldn't.
That
So it
doesn't
makes
mean
sense that they're talking coherently and everything, but they shouldn't have
That doesn't mean
the
their personality should also age
right.
that quick. Like
And also,
that's
it means they shouldn't. They should still know the stuff from when they were 5. They shouldn't know what graduation or prom is
right.
because they
Although to
wouldn't
be
have heard
fair, this child as a 5-year-old did know what a condominium is.
it.
So
No,
well,
you got me there.
it's not as much that they know what it is. It's just that they care about it to the
right.
extent that they care about it. That's the part that I'm like, why? Why do you care about your Number one, if you've got the brain cells of however old 2021 that they're supposed to be at this point, you should also be you should care a whole lot more about, I don't know, surviving than you do about prom and graduation. You know? Like it I want to
I
move on.
think the movie. I think I remember the movie establishing that their brains age with their bodies.
Yes, so they should care a whole
Yeah.
lot more about surviving than they care
Right.
about prom and or
The-
graduation.
Well, I mean,
right.
they were still like mid teenagers, weren't they?
Yeah, they were mid. That's for
They
sure.
were mid.
Yeah, they were mid-sized
sedan.
um. So after this little talk, Kara decides to climb the sheer mountain, the sheer cliff that
Big
is
brain.
stopping them. Um, and so she's climbing up. Trent tries to follow her because he's whipped, and his family stop him. She gets to like the top, and then she passes out, which they determined earlier was like it's like deep sea diving, where if you go too far down, you can't just go back to the surface because you get altitude sickness or whatever. You have to like stop and rest so your body can catch up to the altitude that you're at. And there's something like that with the aging where because you're aging fast and now you're trying to age normally, your brain can't keep up and you black out. So
Yeah,
she
they kept saying a lot of things about cells, and I kind of just tuned out and assumed it was nonsense.
I just assumed that it was your body is aging so quickly that it's exerting a lot of effort to do that. And so you can't do the physical activity because your
But
body
it's
is
but
already
it's
tired.
only that though. Like no other physical activity wears them out.
Swimming.
right. No, they swim perfectly fine.
Nah,
I mean-
not what's his face. He died in the ocean. He
Yeah, but that's
passed
because he
out.
got that. Yeah, that's because he passed out when he was.
Because
he
he
got
didn't
too
go
far from
under
the
the
beach.
coral. The coral is like a metal tube that protects you from the X-ray. Because this is scientific.
This movie is not supernatural. It's scientific.
It is completely
this could exist in
scientific.
real life.
This could happen. This is real.
This
This
has
happened to my
happened.
buddy
It happened
Jared.
to me.
This happened to my buddy mid-sized sedan.
All right, can we please get to the end of this movie?
Kara passes out the top, falls and dies. She's done out of the movie. Done. Boom. Gone.
Yeah, gone. Yeah.
And Trent's really upset about his baby mama.
Yeah, and Trent's
Yeah.
very upset that this girl that he didn't know.
Did we skim past the fact that the baby died?
We
No,
did, but it's
We did, but the movie also skimmed past
Right.
it. So.
The movie makes you forget about that in a second.
Right.
Then
Then I
also-
think
the
Then-
character plot points of Trent and Trent's baby mama would have worked without the baby. They
Right.
could have just
Yes.
done it, but she had to get pregnant because they killed the baby off instantly.
right, the baby doesn't actually play a part in this, which is why I say I think it's just done for shock value.
But it's I think the 2 5-year-olds having sex is shocking enough.
Right, but then you
I
can't.
think, but this was the easiest way to display that though,
Right.
without
like,
actually
without actually
having a
showing
sex
them
scene in this movie.
having. I'd
Them
rather
under
not
the
watch
tent,
2
them
5-year-olds.
sneaking off under the tent and laying under the tent, and then that's enough. I don't need any more than that. I don't need a child.
No, because I'm
Yeah,
not
no one
gonna.
does.
I am not gonna think about 2 5-year-olds having sex.
This
So-
movie made me think about it. When the
It
2
shoved it
5-year-olds
down your
snuck
throat.
off.
I'm not saying Don. I'm not saying I like it. I really am not. Trust me.
I'm saying it would have worked fine without it. Ah!
Right, right.
Can
So
we
Charles-
move past the 5-year-olds having sex?
I'm trying to. I'm doing
Okay,
my
I
best.
think-
Okay.
I think this is the point where we get to the one cool, creative, quirky,
Right.
visually
So
interesting,
so
genuinely creepy scene
so
in the
Charles
cave.
Charles the British guy, he's gone full dementia schizo,
And
and
he's
Yeah,
in
he's
charge.
he's
right.
attacking the parents. Oh, the
Well,
parents.
no.
The
But
dad.
before that, we have it's the children are in the cave, and
No, don't, because that happens simultaneously. Because the
oh,
parents send their kids to run away.
okay.
But no, so they set up that the dad is going blind by just shooting everything in blur and then not
And
actually
they do
focusing on.
yeah. So no, I remember it was when Priscilla, I think was her name.
Yeah, some pressure, something like that.
Right. Wait, no, that
It, it,
I don't
it,
know. The woman with the seizure was dying. Whatever her name was,
oh yeah,
the epilepsy lady, Jaren's wife, Jaren the nurse's wife.
Patricia.
That yeah. I was close. um, so she's dying and foaming at the mouth, and it does the same thing that the Rob Zombie Halloween movie does, but somehow worse because it freeze frames. Which, first of all, a freeze frame,
No one has used the
In
freeze frame out of
in
TV shows from the
2021.
90s.
right? But it's on the most blurry freaking frame ever.
Right, I like we were watching
Like,
this. I was streaming this on with the fellas, and I thought my computer had crashed.
yeah,
I
like it
like
was.
I literally moved
And
my mouse around because I was like, oh crap, it's gone again.
And
But
the Halloween 2007 Rob Zombie movie one is a horrible freeze frame because it's baby Michael Myers' face like freaking out with his stupid little grin on or whatever, and it's also horribly motion blurred. And that was a more competent freeze frame than this movie that came out last year.
yeah, and then
I
um,
hate M. Night.
and also, so they're doing this to illustrate that the dad's going blind, and the way that so the way I would have done this because I'm better than M. Night Shyamalan.
Tell me how you would do it, Joshua Clements.
So
Bagel.
you basically just have you either have him say I can't see, or because that's a perfectly valid thing to do. If you're freaking out, you will say what is freaking you out. Or if you wanted to try and be creative, you can do the whole blurry thing, but you don't do it on a freeze frame. You do it as the like something looking around, and then or before that, you focus on his eye because then you connect the two. You don't do a blurry freeze frame and then just a shot of him looking confused because all he has done this movie is look confused. So I didn't know anything was up. Uh,
Nah, Jit tripping. He's got
then
cataracts.
then
You
the
never seen a
mum
man
is
with
going
cataracts
deaf.
before, Josh? That's exactly what happens. Their vision goes blurry in an instant, and then they freak out.
Right, and they only see in freeze frames.
But he didn't freak out.
He
That's the
didn't. He
problem.
was just
He was
he
just
looked
like
confused.
he was more calm as his vision was going than he was throughout this entire movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's normal. This movie's completely
And
normal.
then while he's going blind, the mum is going deaf.
Yes.
Right.
So
And
Oh,
Josh claims that there was a scene where they tried to do the same thing and like the audio cut out, but I
they
just don't
did.
believe that happened.
there's
They did.
It should
I
also
don't
be
believe
noted we
that.
talk a lot and we've talked a lot over the past few weeks in these Shyamalan movies about plot armor. This family, y'all, they have got the strongest plot armor I have ever seen in my
They
life.
have plot armor against time.
Like this family, the four of them are the four that are surviving at the end of it.
Well, okay.
Yes.
So Charles, the crazy guy,
Who's in
is
charge?
who's in
Not
charge.
anymore.
He's using the bone of his mother to like
Right.
cut the dad, and the mom
Which
can't
is
hear.
admittedly pretty hard.
Right, that's pretty tough. And the dad doesn't know what's like. He didn't really see him coming because his vision's blurry, and his wife didn't hear him coming because she's looking the other way, and so she doesn't know anything's going on until like after it started. And he keeps like cutting him open, and wounds heal instantly, which is that's kind of neat. And so the parents send their kids away, and they're like, "Hey, run away!" And the kids go into this cave where Charles's girlfriend is. and they
It's set up earlier, admittedly in a very douchey and pretentious way, that she has some sort of like calcium deficiency, so her bones are very weak.
right, and so she
She
gets like
needs
she
calcium in
wants
her
her
drinks.
daughter to not be hunched over because
Right.
you know. And so as these kids run into these caves, they hear Crystal, the girl, and the boy Trent lights a match, and Crystal keeps throwing rocks because she's like, "Don't look at me," and she's gone completely crazy, and she's trying to talk to them, but she's hysterical. And the kids keep crawling further and further back into this cave, into the darkness, and they keep lighting the matches. And as they get close, they see that she's like withered away pretty much. She's almost like a skeleton. And Crystal picks up a giant, pretty big, like boulder-ish rock and holds it above her head. And then, because she's so weak, the rock slips and breaks her arm. And
They're coming
so
to arrest us for talking about old.
bad. We've watched 2 M Night Shyamalan movies in a row. They can't allow that.
We watched 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna watch 5 by
Oh,
the end of time this is done.
We will watch
Um,
6
make
by
it
the end of the
stop.
time this is all done.
No.
So-
Stuart Little is great.
It's still an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah,
So in this actually genuinely creepy scene, her bones keep breaking, but then because she's healing, they set in the way they break, so she looks really contorted, and she's just like flailing around, smacking her arms on the rocks, and it's breaking over and over
yeah,
again.
and it is a genuinely freaky deaky scene
Right, she's
that
like
felt
so
so
good.
out of place in this horrible movie.
she's screaming the whole time. It's like it's awful.
She's crawling around like on the floor like the old lady in The Visit, but it actually makes sense in this. It's not just old people are scary. Wow, aren't old people so scary? I'm scared of old people.
2021.
True.
And
Come
then
on, we gotta rush through. Get through this plot, Josh. Keep going.
then she dies, and the kids are just freaked out, and I'm like, oh man, that's the one.
The kid, yeah. And
So
then
as the crazy old man is cutting up the parents, the mum grabs the knife and cuts him, and she's like, the knife is now rusted, even though it doesn't make sense because they set up that organic cells grow old, but dead cells don't, which implied that any sort of inorganic cells wouldn't like rust or anything.
Don't. Just keep
right,
going.
it's just
So, yeah.
that's the least confusing part of that scene because
And to
the-
be
the
fair, I mean,
rust
how long have they been here at this point?
Like 6 hours.
Never mind.
no, it was like at least like
Yeah, 'cause
it
there
was
was
like almost a
nighttime.
full day because it's nighttime. Yeah.
Saltwater
Well,
rust
12
stuff
12
super
hours,
quick.
I'd say.
Saltwater rust things really quickly. Not to that extent, but
Right.
Keep going.
That was the least ridiculous part because the rust enters his bloodstream and it starts burning him from the inside
It
out.
makes him a zombie.
It turns him into Anakin Skywalker, which is just not what rust does to blood. Like it'll give you tetanus and that can eventually like kill you because
but
it'll
do
give
we
you
know what
lockjaw or whatever.
Do we know what it does to like old blood, like blood cells that are aging rapidly?
No, but I'm pretty sure it would just be a quicker
Guys,
version
I
of
think-
tetanus,
I think-
not
Can we move on? Can we
turning
just-
them into.
I think you're
Okay.
forgetting that this movie is real. This movie was observed by Mythbusters. Like this is real.
This is all
science.
really. This really happened. This was
Yeah.
a documentary.
This is a biopic.
This is going to be the longest episode of the podcast because we're at the 58-minute mark and haven't even finished the plot.
Okay, then they're like still like young adults at this point. Then it cuts. Then they're old adults, and then
They're
the
they're
parents
talking.
are dead. The parents are
The
dead.
their parents die.
They take time out of
the
their
daughter
very
sings
short
the
lives
song
to build a
that M Night
sandcastle.
and his daughter wrote. They build a sandcastle, which I
build a
think
sand-
I
no, no.
personally would have done a lot
They,
sooner.
they
but that's
agree.
just
They
me.
agree that we need to keep trying to get off this place, and then they go, "Hey, do you want to build a sandcastle?" Like the
Yeah,
just
no,
building a
that's how
sandcastle-
that actually happens.
That's
just building a
completely genuine.
sandcastle is perfectly fine, and I would agree with you, Daniel. I'd do that. I'd like try and relax in my final moments, but you do not get to do that after you also go, "Hey, let's try and actively get off this island that is killing us every second."
After you witnessed the death of both your unborn child and your baby mama, you
And
don't
your
get
parents.
No, the child was very much born.
you witnessed the death of your born child and your baby mama, and
And your
both of your
parents.
parents and a bunch of strangers.
And mid-sized sedan.
You don't witness all of those things and then have a nice little quirky sandcastle building montage. You just don't
But
get to do
anyways,
that.
as they're doing this quirky sand building montage, they start reminiscing about their
Idlib.
youth, which was
Idlib.
like 12 hours ago, and their friend with a stupid name Idlib, who they made this little like code language with, and then he's like, "Oh, I still have one of the things that I never decoded. What if why not decode it since I'm growing old 2021?" So they go and decode it, and then it says, "My uncle is scared of the coral reef." And I guess the implication is that the uncle is meant to be M. Night or M. Night's I don't know.
Just
Then they think for some reason, oh, the coral reef, that could be like the metal tube that we mentioned earlier that'll protect us from the X-ray, because this is like an X-ray because it's scientific. So then they go and they swim out into the coral reef, and they don't think to take off their baggy outerwear clothes, even though they're wearing swimsuits, and that would be the logical thing to do. And now they apparently have logical grown person brains, so that is a thing they would think of. They swim into the coral, and it get girl's like blouse gets stuck on the thing, and it's a really dramatic scene. It's meant to be a really dramatic scene, and then they make you think that she's dead or whatever, and then it cuts to what I thought was a joke, what I said as a joke, M. Night watching with binoculars, like just straight up. It was just M. Night on a cliff watching with binoculars, and then he calls someone and he says, "Okay, this trial was a success. This was a drug trial. That's the twist of the movie." He looks directly at the camera and says, "That is the twist of my 2021 film, Old."
I love him, Night Shyamalan.
Shut up, Bobbin. Shut
I
up.
love him.
Bobbin, you've been defending this movie far too much. For everything that I got for The Happening, I wish upon you.
But then, yeah, he drives away, goes to this lab where they explain in more detail that it's a drug trial, and
Yeah, they give these people like their drug, and then by aging them up like a lifetime, one day they get to see the drug's effects over a lifetime, and they're like, "Oh, the seizure medicine we gave to Patricia was effective because it meant that she didn't have one for the equivalent of 16 and a half years."
Right.
Which, like, okay, I get what you're saying, and this is me analyzing a movie far too much, but there is no way this can be in any way representative of an actual drug trial.
I mean,
No, it is.
No, you don't understand. This movie is scientific, Josh.
if a beach like that existed, all right, and Big Pharma got wind of it, they would probably just like, I don't know, find people to do the trial.
Right, I feel like you could probably just get people
You could find somebody who's got cancer to test a cancer treatment, because they know they're gonna die anyway, and there will be people who will be like, oh, if I can help save other people's lives, yeah, I'll go chill out on this beach. Put a nice little house there for them, like a nice little beach house where they can live out their final day, and then test the drug. It doesn't have to be. I don't know. I'm done. I'm not even gonna finish that thought.
And then it cuts to I guess the main pharmaceutical guy, and then he's talking to Adlib, and he's like, oh, sorry, your little kid friends left, but you can play with these kids. Or I don't understand the point of that scene. It was stupid. I hated it.
I took it as, he's related to one of the people who works at the lab, and the guy just doesn't want him like warning people like he did. So he says, "Hey, play with those kids because they're not involved in this."
Yeah. Anyways, then old middle-aged Trent and Maddox show up, and they're like, you guys are evil, and what you did is evil. Or they went up to the cop he was set up at the beginning that he was a cop and also had 2 wives. And they go up to him and they're like, "Hey, you're a police officer, right?" And he draws his gun, he shoots them both dead. Cut to black, end of movie.
I wish.
But no, they give him the book that they found that had like just a list of all these people's addresses, and they were all missing persons. And then it, for some godforsaken reason, it cuts back to the scene of them in the coral reef where they're, and
Right.
it
It shows
explains
you the
how,
thing that you know.
like we know that they get out of there. We don't need to see like, okay, yeah, they break the piece of coral, which as I was looking at trivia on IMDb under the goofs section for this movie, it said that coral is apparently incredibly easy to break, and that would have been not a real problem, but this movie is scientific. But yeah, it shows that scene, and then it's the scene on the poster of them laying in the water, and then it cuts to black for some reason, which I thought, I was like, okay,
Like,
that's the end of the
it,
movie.
and then
It
it
wasn't.
shows the
Then
helicopter
it's them on a
flying,
helicopter for no reason.
and yeah, they go, "Oh, do you want me to like call your uncle so you could get, you know, a care?" And they go, "Oh, what kind of uncle would you be if you got a call from your nephew who's 6 years old and he was a 50-year-old man or something?" I'm like, I don't care. I don't like
Yeah,
any of you people.
I don't.
Yeah, at this point, the gag is very old, so it's just kind of like,
I
okay.
get it. That's the name of the
This
movie.
movie,
It's old.
this movie aged me 2 hours.
Ah.
Ah!
Okay, Dalton, we get it. You didn't like the movie.
Oh, you didn't even watch it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you cannot complain this much about a movie you didn't watch.
I think the fact that I am complaining this much is a testament to this movie.
we
I think it's a
we sat
testicle.
down and spent 2 hours of our life on this. I could have gone to bed at 4 a.m. instead of 6.
It's also too long.
It's
Yeah.
far too long.
No,
The-
I stand by that both this and The Visit should have been short films.
I would have taken a normal length,
the
like
freaking
the length of The Happening, an hour and a half. Hit that 90-minute mark and move on. You know, but they didn't.
the visit.
I
The
think
visit was
even
an
that
hour
would
and
have
a
been
half.
too long for even an hour and a half would have been too long for this movie, I think.
I think a minute is too long. For
The freaking
I think that this whole movie should have been played at like 10 times speed.
the whole
Can we
like
start watching movies that way when we watch these movies? Can we start watching them on 2x speed?
the
I think
whole
we
like
should.
unique premise of this movie, the whole gag got old as fast as the main characters did.
This movie made me gag.
Are we done? Can I move on from
I
my
think
life?
so.
yet?
Yeah, is this over?
So, would you guys recommend Old?
I think
Yes,
you would
that's
have
sounding yes.
I would
think-
recommend looking up the scene of the calcium lady in the cave, because that's genuinely cool and creepy. Anything
then
else?
skip the
No.
rest of the movie.
Do not watch this movie. I
Finally-
can't even ironically suggest
If I
it like
was
Bobbin.
if I was in Guantanamo Bay being tortured and they put on this movie, I would have sold out my country after about 5 minutes.
But it's better than The Visit. It's better than The Visit.
It is
Bobbin,
better than
you
The
need to
Visit.
stop
doesn't
saying that.
mean
That means
anything.
nothing.
It's
better
okay.
than The Visit.
It's better than The Visit. It's also stupider than The Visit.
Yes.
Look,
Yeah.
look, man, Pearl Harbor was better than 9/11. That doesn't mean it was a good thing. Ah.
This movie happened.
One of the films of all
This
time.
movie was happening.
I look forward. I can't wait till M Night puts all of his movies into the Shyamalan verse.
The thing with The Visit, comparatively, that
The
this movie
Visit's
has,
stupid, But it's more entertaining.
that this movie has going for it. This movie's threat
I don't-
is unbeatable, right? This is not a threat that where you can just rip the old woman's skin off, as Daniel said, or push Nana in the oven, as I said. You can't do that with the concept of growing old. And that's all I've really got to say about the comparison between the two, because other than that, this movie is significantly dumber. It's better made, arguably less frustrating,
Yeah, I don't think that I can agree with you, Josh, that this movie or that the Visit was more entertaining than this
It
movie.
wasn't.
No, no,
This movie
I
was
just
far
don't
more
think that's
entertaining
no,
than
true.
The
no, no,
Visit.
no.
No,
Did I say
Dalton,
that?
you didn't watch this movie. You
I
didn't
did.
watch either of those movies in their entirety.
Did I
No.
say that? Because if I did, I
You did.
apologize.
It's been seconds.
Yes.
I apologize. I did not mean it. I got old.
I'd be lying sometimes.
Sorry, my love for M Night Shyamalan, whatever.
All right, we gotta wrap, man.
Yeah, this just
I will
be
say I
over.
did watch more of this movie than I watched of The Visit
Mm.
in its
Smart
entirety.
choice.
So, you know. All right, that's it. We will see you guys next time when
Yeah.
we do this.
Don't watch this movie.
We're streaming on YouTube and our podcast streaming places. Don't watch Old, please. It was
Don't.
all it was a drug trial.
If
all
you are
along.
going to watch this movie, pirate it illegally. Do not give M. Night Shyamalan any money. Please make him stop making movies.
And if you
I
see
wish-
I'm begging you.
if you see
I-
M. Night Shyamalan in the street, just spit on him for me.
just
Wait,
verbally
hold
and
on,
physically
hold on
assault
now.
him.
All right, I'm done.
I wish all old enjoyers a very I don't like you.
Bobbin, that's directed at you.
I wish all people
I
who
love that
enjoy
Bobbin
old.
went into this movie saying like, "Oh, it's so horrible," and by the end, he's the only one defending it.
It is bad, but it's fun. I had a good time.
I liked Mid-Sized Sedan
I also liked
and
mid-sized.
and
Mid-sized
creepy old
sedan
lady.
sequel movie, please.
All right, so final thoughts, everyone.
We just did that.
My one final thought is, oh damn.
Oh damn.
All
My
right,
final thought is Jaren is the MVP, and his sacrifice was very worthy.
we'll see you guys on the
True.
next episode of Semi Pro.